welcome to our webinar. Today we're going to have a very interesting session about adaptive SEO, so you're more than welcome. At any time, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to raise your hand or to ask in the chat, and we'll try to address all questions. We're going to have a Q&A session at the end. All questions will be answered. This webinar focuses on Google's core updates. Basically, they offer or they do updates several times a year. You can see here on the screen some of the updates they did. So it's quite common. I would say maybe 5, 6, 10 per year. And each time they issue an update, there are implications. And we're going to talk about that and how we can perhaps overcome some of those. To Google, the main reasons for changes in ranking or in visibility are the following. It can create small drops, large drops in ranking. It can be due to technical issues, which we're going to cover. It could be due to security issues, spam issues, and just changing of interest of surfers. So these are the main reasons that Google identifies as relevant to algorithm changes in ranking. This is a map of the volatility of the SERP ranking across time. As time passes, the volatility increases, and we expect it to be volatile and to also increase. So we are in a very dynamic and volatile environment where the changes are happening. We asked Google, we actually went to the documentation and we tried to figure out what do they recommend after there is a core update, what do website owners need to do. The first thing they recommend is that you should monitor your average position in search results to see what the effect is. Which is obviously something that Nytro SEO does automatically. The second thing that they recommend is to review your top pages and queries, how they are affected, and basically to try to figure out which ones were affected and why they were affected. So that's their second recommendation. They're actually saying that you need to pay attention to some of the causes that might causing you to not rank, or if there's an increase in impressions and there's downwards in clicks, then you might not be converting very well, which is basically what we're seeing here. So these are the main reasons that they put forward. However, they are saying at the most basic level, the most basic requirement according to Google is that the search query that people search for should also be included in the content of the page, stroke content of the meta tags. And this is very important. If your pages do not have any content relating to the search itself, then the search would be not as effective. This is something to pay attention to. Thirdly, meta tags. What do they actually do and why it's important? According to Google, the meta tags help shape and determine what the search snippet view looks like. It's kind of a means to help the search engine better understand the web page content and create the search snippet view. The search snippet view is what the user sees when they actually search. Of course, now there's AI overviews, but at the same time, it's still the same issue. What's relevant here is the page title, meta description, image alts, etc. And they recommend to optimize that also. So the meta tags and the web page content needs to be optimized according to the content of the page or the intent. So what we're going to do now is actually show you some example of effect of core updates on performance, and then we'll see how our system actually deals with this, because what we're going to show you now is a system that adapts automatically to search engine indicators. First of all, we're going to show you the examples, and then we'll show how it's actually working. We took our website as an example, and we took 2 core updates, and we saw the timeline where these updates actually happened. And you can see here, this is the March update and this is the June update. And just as at the high level, you can see these 2 events. The June update, which was between 30th of June to July 17. And you can see that we also, in our website, we had a slight drop. And our system recovered from this drop. Of course, the recovery is not a linear line. There's ups and downs. But basically, our system tried to figure out what was the issue and reposition some of the meta tags, some of the data of the web pages to recover from the change. So this is one example. The second example is for the March update, which was from 13th to 27th of March. And again, here you see a small or decline and then a recovery. This is very typical. In general, fluctuation and volatility in ranking, as you can see here, in general, it's very common. The question is, how do you deal with this and how do you recover, especially as a core update? Basically, it's been doing this for a long time, and we've been testing this and validating this all the time. But our system collects a lot of data, which is both external and internal data. You can see the parameters here, keyword ranking, page ranking, website performance, metadata, meta tags relevant, technical SEO metrics, is the web page is loading, not loading, indexing, and the search snippet view effectiveness, is it ranking, is it not ranking, which keywords are there, backlinks, all of this data is collected constantly, monitored, analyzed, and also corrective measures are implemented whenever there is a problem. The system constantly learns and improves itself to become better at, making these optimization steps. Having said that, we need to be aware that ranking and search visibility depends on a lot of parameters, and it's not always possible to recover. Sometimes it's possible, sometimes it's not, because the website might have issues, whether it's spam, whether it's bad performance, not loading. Assuming that the basic parameters in the website are positive, then you can usually recover. What I'll show you now is an example of how our system works in the background, what it does. So a keyword, an example keyword from our website, Advanced SEO Automation. And here you can see how the keyword was ranking and for which pages. So this is something that not many people are aware of, that when you look at the ranking of a certain keyword, there's a lot of things that change in the background. One of the things that change in the background is which pages are actually ranking for that keyword. And what you can see here in January, the first one, this point, there was one page, this AI automated search engine optimization companies. Then the second position, which actually reached first page, was the home page. And thirdly, which is now another page article. So this keyword was kind of moving between the pages. And how can you figure out what's the reason for this? Our system is more reactive than trying to figure out what goes in Google's mind. So we're not trying to analyze what Google is doing. We're just reacting to what Google is doing, because this is the only way you can deal. You never know what updates they would actually issue. This is one example of how the keyword is ranking differently for different pages. And eventually, as you can see, it's being improving itself to reach the first page. If you look at our system, and everyone can probably log into their account and see this. So when you look at a certain keyword, you see which pages are assigned to this keyword. You can also see what Google thinks about this. It's called Google relevance in this particular case. And Google sees this keyword as most relevant for this page, which is where it's ranking before. So it's this one. Our system takes this data and a lot of other data into consideration and eventually creates the tags in a way that converts and ranks high. And if you take this keyword and you try to see where they're placed in the meta tag, so first of all, you can see it's placed in the title itself, which is, of course, a very prominent and dominant position. This is why it's ranking. Secondly, you see whenever a query is submitted, we record, each time we record what the search snippet view was showing. And this is, again, part of the data that we collect, and we improve the search snippet view and the performance based on this. So there is a constant collection of parameters, data, and refinement of the meta tags and refinement of other parameters in order to eventually reach a stage where the keyword has the highest rank. Now, it's not possible to do it all the time for all keywords, for all pages. So there's a limited amount of keywords that can rank per page. It's just not possible to rank everything for the same page. So each time the system kind of takes the parameters from Google or other indicators that we collect, and eventually we do this assignment in a very intelligent way. Okay, so we talked about the notice or the disclaimer that it cannot work for every website in any situation, but from our experience, in most cases, it's actually working well, and we see this upward trend in most cases in most of our websites. In fact, we see this on average in 75% and up of websites, we see this as a positive trend of fixing itself, or improving itself in volatility in general and in jobs. What I'd like to do now is show you the real live demonstration. This is the keyword that we actually saw, they actually looked at. And all you need to do is just add the keyword in keywords, manage, you put the keywords in, and then you can see all the data relating to this keyword. Some of the data that I will show you here is not always visible to everyone. It's like admin level, but I'll show you the principle. So the first thing that you can see that this keyword is ranked top page. This is the data that I was showing you before. Here you can see the actual parameters. I will just show you the data behind this, which we don't actually share this all the time, but the system uses this data. And then we can choose any one of these dots and see which pages it was actually using ranking for. So for example, I can just choose this spot, and then I get this one was, this is the home page, and this is another page, 10 advanced SEO automation. So basically you can see that the keyword is ranking differently for different pages, and it changes all the time, and it can be on hundreds of pages and thousands of pages. The system collects all this data and eventually constructs the tags so that they rank better. And this is like the main idea in adaptive SEO, which is a term that we coined, and we see the future of SEO because it's impossible to make these adjustments manually. So if I just put the term adaptive, you can see that we're ranking very high on this, on these terms. I think we kind of jumped to first pages in many positions, and we're ranking very high. This because we kind of coined this term for our system. This is what's effective. This is how we see it's effective. And if we go back to the keyword that we showed before, we can actually go to the page itself. So this is the page that it's currently ranking for, and we can go in the system to this page, go to page. And we can see richer data regarding this page, which other keywords are assigned to this page, what their positions are. By the way, it's all done automatically. You don't need to do anything. It's just showing you the data in a way that you can understand what's happening. Then you can go to the metadata itself, which is the meta tags. You can see where this term is actually been placed, how it's used. And here are what the search snippet view looks like. In this particular case, Google started to rank the webinar that we're just showing now higher for this term that was ranking for a long time. It was Google's decision to do this. We just adapted the text to foster this, to support this. And here you can see the actual search snippet views according to the rank and according to the Google relevance. The Google relevance is which page is most relevant to a keyword at any particular time. So all this data that you see here and much more, what we show this graph here, all this data is being collected, automated, and then the tags are generated to support this growth trend or this improvement trend continually. Now, having said that, it's not like very aggressive change. We have to see what change in the meta tag, what it causes. And sometimes it causes a downwards effect. So if you see here, there's ups and downs, there's more fluctuation. So we need to readjust again and again and again. So we have to do it carefully. We have to do it slowly. We can't do it very aggressively, but we get the indicators whenever we do a change. We get the indicators, and it's done automatically by our AI engines, and they're quite good at that. And eventually they stabilize until you can see this kind of improvement over time in growth. And if we don't do this, you probably would see a drop. This is the focus of our webinar today. We're not trying to kind of deal with other issues. We're focusing specifically on the adaptive SEO. Everyone that has an account with us, this is a built-in feature. It's done automatically, subtly in the background. Whenever you run a report, whenever you refresh, if you press refresh, you would see here that there is generate meta tags, and it's by default enabled. Whenever you press refresh, all this analysis that I just showed you now will run in the background, would reanalyze the data, would reposition the tags, will measure. It's like an A/B measurement of the current performance, and then the system determines that it's needed. it will readjust the tag. Now, in case you don't want the tag to be readjusted, there are several ways to do it, and it's possible. Sometimes you would say, I don't want the tags to be adjusted. One way is to go into here and just make a manual change. Once you make a manual change to the tag by adding anything to it, it is no longer changed. So the logic says that if the user decides to make a change, the system will not override that decision. So this is one way to do it. Another way to do it is to disable the optimization, and that would not change the tags. And there are a few other techniques, but these are the main ones. So you have full control determining how to optimize your website, what to do, how to do it, and let the adaptive SEO do its magic. I hope it was an easy explanation to a complex technology. And if you have any questions, I'm pretty happy to answer any one of those. Let's just take a look 1 minute. Anyone raising his hand? Okay, someone is asking, my site doesn't automatically add new pages. How can I change this? So this is to answer the question. If you enable this function, any new page that you add would be automatically optimized. It's by default on. Maybe for some reason it was disabled, but it should enable it and it will take any new page and optimize it automatically. Yes, for those who missed the beginning, of course, we always send a recording after the webinar, and we will do so the same. In fact, we introduced more data on our own website, including all the past webinars. Of course, you can also see it in YouTube, but you can also now access them from here at any time. So all the recordings of the webinars will also be appearing here. There's a new category that is called webinars and training. So of course, we uploaded the new data, but there's webinar and training. So this is the webinar today. For every such webinar, we have an introduction and some more data. And after the webinar, we'll upload more data to it. This is the next webinar, which, by the way, it's extremely interesting. You're all more than welcome to join. It's about optimizing for LLM search and how our system helps with that. So it's quite interesting. Past webinars, we also have it here and on our YouTube channel, which you can access from here. So in general, you have access to all the videos, all the past ones. This was the last webinar that we already sent to everyone, but you can also access it from here. So generally, all of this information is available. Should there be a limit for my crawling depth? Good question. I think it depends on your website, but if you look here, Dima, you want to say a few words about the crawling depth, what it means and how it's implemented?
Yeah, better to keep it as default. Usually websites has maximum 3 depth level limit. So
So 100 is really much more than you would probably need for most websites.
So depth limit 1 is homepage. Everything which is available from homepage is depth number 2.
Yes. So I don't think anyone reaches 100. I have that enabled, but I haven't seen it working this month. I'm not sure what you referred to, but of course, every website, as I said before, every website is different. The effect might be different. There are no guarantees of performance, but we will be very happy for anyone that wants to do a more in-depth session just to book a meeting with us, and we'll help you take a look to see the effect. And maybe there needs to be some adjustments. Sometimes there is a need for adjustments. We do have a small survey, a poll that we would love to hear your feedback. Have we sent the poll already?
Yes, I sent the poll.
Okay, amazing. Yeah, the poll is just kind of an insight into your view. Thank you all for attending, and look forward to hosting you on our next webinars. And if you need any help, support, or anything like that, please feel free just to reach out and book a meeting. You can do this from this section here, either open a ticket or book a call, and we'll be happy to help you. Thank you very much, guys, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you.